Hello, everyone. Come on into the webinar. My name is Linda Peavy, and I'm going to be your host for this afternoon. I am the owner and founder of Lepov Consulting, and we are going to provide to you today a wonderful opportunity for you to learn about how do you secure grants, how do you research and secure grants for your woman-owned business or your woman-led nonprofit. All right, so most people who know me know that this is going to be like a no bluff zone, okay? We have so much to cover, so we're going to get started. But first, I'm in like chilly Ohio. It's like 32 degrees here. So give your city or state a shout out. Let me know who's in the room with me. So I want to know where you're from. You can shout out your city or your state and come in and say hi. So, hey, Birmingham, Alabama, Latoya. Hey, Latoya, my parents are from Alabama. Tina is in Lexington. Amy is in Concord. Hey, Ellie in Houston, Texas. Giselle is in Memphis. Renee is in Jersey City. Bridget is in Long Island. Hey, Daniela in Trousseau, Alabama. Hey, Diane is coming in from Palmdale, California. What is the temperature there, Diane? I know it's not as cold there as it is here because it's like 32 degrees here. Hey, is it Jergita from, hey, New Albany, Ohio. Hey, Renee, we've got some Ohio people in the house today. Wow, Diane says it's 35 degrees. It is cold there. Hey, Tammy from the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. And Kia is from Fort Washington, Maryland. So thank you all so much. We're going to get started because, again, this is just going to be jam-packed. And I'm here to help you understand how you are going to do grant research and write those grants that are specifically for women-led nonprofits and women-owned businesses. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my screen. It's like, come on, come through technology. And you're going to see just like a little brief 30-second TV commercial of mine. And it really just gives you a little bit more background about who I am and what I do. And then we are going to get started. So, all right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Linda Peavy, owner of Lepov Consulting. My passion is to place your organization on the path to excellence. Are you struggling to communicate your message, reach target audiences, or secure funding? From marketing communications to grant writing, we achieve your goals. We've worked with high-profile clients and have secured $17 million in funding for charter schools and nonprofits. Call today to discuss what your success looks like and how Lepov Consulting can help.
Okay, so that's just a little more information about me. First, I want to make sure everybody's in the right room. This is grant writing for women-owned businesses and women-led nonprofits, and this is the noon session. I have another session tonight at 7 o'clock, but you are joining me now. And so let me just give you a little bit more background about who I am. Again, I'm Linda Peavy. I'm known as the Grants Queen because I have secured, not just written, secured $17 million in funding and business development. And you know, there's a difference between writing a grant and getting the money. And I've been blessed enough to be able to secure over $17 million in grants and funding for my clients. I have been writing grants for over 14 years, and this month is the 15th year of owning my own business full-time, Lepov Consulting. So I've done everything from write those requests for proposals to write the scoring template for grants, to helping organizations build partnerships. I also provide grant writing workshops around the country. I've also been the former executive director of a nonprofit, right? So I want to know who is in the room with me. Are you a small business like I am now? Or are you a nonprofit? Or, and this is what I'm really finding, is that a lot of nonprofits are being started by for-profits. So if you're a for-profit that started a nonprofit and you're both, just tell me in the chat that you're both. So either for-profit, nonprofit, or both. And let me know who is with me today. Nonprofit, small business, hey, both. Vonda says both. For-profit, both. Nonprofit, Nina says both. This is really fantastic that we have so many for-profit businesses that are starting nonprofits. So a little bit about my journey to getting to the $17 million. I used to be a publishing executive in Pennsylvania, and I got hurt and came back to Cleveland, Ohio. It took me 2 years to recuperate, literally came back to Cleveland in a wheelchair. And after 2 years, I was able to work again, but guess what? I couldn't find a job because even though I had all this experience in marketing and publishing, I was in Cleveland, Ohio. And Cleveland, I have to tell you, is like not the publishing mecca of the world. And so I found myself without a job, and I started LaPav Consulting, and it was like fantastic. So let me know, for you business owners, was this like a dream for you to own your own business? Or like me, you like to eat and you wanted a roof over your head, so you started your own business? So let me know in the chat, like, who's with me? Like, was this a dream of yours to start a business, or was it out of necessity like it was for me? So let me know. A dream. Kia says a dream. Oh, Naya says a dream. Oh, we've got some dreamers in the house. This is excellent. So this is what happened. I started my own business, and my first client wanted me to be a contract executive director for a nonprofit. So I took the job, and literally within the first week, I was called into the board member's office. We had a board of directors. I was called into the office, and I was told that I needed to write a grant to save my job. I literally needed to write a grant that would pay for the salary of the executive director, which was me. Now, as you can imagine, they didn't say this to me in the interview, and I didn't really know a lot about grants. I had never written a grant, didn't have any experience with grant, but you know what? I learned, I found out, because I wanted to keep that job. And what I found out really was that there is a connection between learning how to write grants and getting the cash that you want. There is a process that I've learned over the past 15 years, and that is what I'm going to show you today, is the process so that you can be successful. You can do this. What are we going to cover? Why this class? The 3 keys to funding, the philanthropic landscape, grant basics. How do you prepare to write? What to write, how to write, and then how do you really attract the right funder that is just for you? Then, because I know we have a lot of for-profits, we're going to talk a little bit about bid proposals and capacity or capability statements. And then really, how do you get noticed? Because there's competition out there. You're working in a sea, right, of competition. There's going to be a lot of applicants for the same grant application. So how do you stand out? And then we're going to talk about literally grant research. How do you identify your perfect funder? And then whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because I have a surprise at the end. Okay. I'm also going to give you a list of available grant opportunities now. So don't go anywhere. All right. Why this class? Well, we know entrepreneurs need help with funding other than loans. And by the way, put all of your questions, because I usually get a ton of questions. Put your questions in the chat or the Q&A, and at the end, don't go anywhere, because I go through every single question. So don't be scared. Put your questions in the chat and the Q&A, and I will get to them. So women entrepreneurs, we need funding, right? We don't always want loans, but grant writing can be expensive because it is a skill. Like professional seasoned people like me who write grants, who are professional grant writers, we can charge anywhere between $100 to $200 per hour and get it. But why not learn the skills yourself to place your organization in the absolute best position to win grants? Because nobody can tell your story better than you. So why pay a grant writer when you can do this yourself, and you can do it, right? You don't have to be a professional grant writer. In order to secure grants, you have to know the process. And that is what I'm going to show you today, is the process. All right, so 2 different incidents completely changed the landscape of philanthropy. One was COVID-19. Before COVID-19, it was unheard of for a for-profit business to get grant money. When we thought about grants, we thought about what? Nonprofits. But in COVID-19, so many small businesses went under that your foundations and your major corporations said, we have to do something. We can't sit on the sidelines and see all these small businesses just completely shutter their doors. And so they started to create large pools of grant funding so that small businesses like you and like me could have additional funding. And there was also additional funding created for nonprofits, but particularly for women-owned businesses and women-led nonprofits, because traditionally we are shut out of funding. And so a lot of the foundations and the large businesses wanted to do something about that. So if you ever still come across a COVID-19 grant, because there's still some grant money available, we're in the recovery stage, we're not in the emergency stage, right? But there are still grants available. Make sure you talk about how COVID-19 affected your business. All right, the other incident was the George Floyd murder. So after George Floyd was murdered, again, you had foundations and you had major corporations saying, we have to do something about racial injustice. You know, what can we do in this particular world that we move in? And so they decided to put together different grant opportunities. They pushed money at it, which was to our benefit, right? Because that is why right now there is more money available for minority organizations, women-owned organizations than there has ever been before. And part of it is because of the George Floyd incident. You might have heard of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So if you have a DEI company, if your organization somehow addresses racial injustice or socially conscious causes, you're in a better position to get funding than before. And you could be addressing homelessness, you could be addressing hunger. But if you are a woman-owned business, woman-led nonprofit, now is the time to seek grant funding because the money is available. And we don't know how long it's going to be available. So let's get to some grant basics. This is really what you need to know. Grants are not paid back, right? Now, for you nonprofits, you must get your 501c3. This is critical, right? What is it? That's your tax exempt status from the IRS to say that you don't have to pay taxes. And those who donate to your organization can utilize those donations on their tax returns as charitable deductions. Now, the good news is, whereas it used to take 3 to 6 months for a nonprofit to get a 501c3, right now it's taking 6 to 8 weeks. So now is the time. Whatever you want to do, don't use a fiscal agent. A fiscal agent is an organization that has their 501c3 that is getting money on your behalf. And that's exactly why most foundations will not work with a fiscal agent. They would prefer that you have your own 501c3 because they don't want their money going through a third party. Okay, so whatever you do, if you're a nonprofit, even if you are a church or a school, a public school, still get your 501c3 because there are many foundations, and I think about Verizon in particular, whereas even though you're a school or a church and you're a nonprofit, by their bylaws, right, by their regulations, they can't give money to any organization other than a 501c3. So that's why it's important. And even though you're a nonprofit, still get your 501c3. Now, more grant bases. And this is what I want you to look at. Look at this level of giving. In 2021, it increased, okay, to $90 billion, right? And that was an increase from 2020. And when these numbers come out for 2022, there's going to be another increase. Look at this figure. People think, oh, we were in a pandemic, nobody's giving, there's no money. $90 billion. And ladies, we only need a little bit of this money, right? Just a little bit, right? We don't need the whole $90 billion, just a little bit. So I want you to put into the chat, I just need a little bit. I just need a little bit. You just need a little bit of the $90 billion, right? You don't need it all. We just want to be able to get you a little bit. I want you to say, yes, 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 Melody, Bond, and Ion. We just need a little bit, just a little bit of the $90 billion. Can you imagine what you would do in just a little bit? I'm here to show you how, right? You can get just a little bit of the $90 billion. Now, we're going to talk about how do you prepare to write grants. This is a mistake that most people make. They see the grant application and they start filling it out and they send it in, but you have to really prepare to write grants. Now, I always like for people to just hone up on their writing skills because you don't want to submit an application that's full of grammatical errors, right? There's 5 basic writing skills. We're just going to focus on number 5, editing and rewriting, right? Because you want an application that is clear and concise. So I always go back to this one article that is fantastic, and it is by Grammarly. And if you don't have a Grammarly, this is homework. I'm going to be giving you tea all afternoon. This is the first cup of tea. You need to make sure that after we're done, you download Grammarly. It is an editing software tool. And guess what? It's free, right? It will help you become a better writer. They created this particular article that I want you to download. This is your first homework. Improve writing skills dramatically by doing these 15 things. I'm a professional editor and writer, and I still use this article because it has helped me in my writing skills, and I know it's going to help you. So my trusty assistant, Kelsey, make sure that you drop that into the chat. Excellent. All right. Okay, so make sure you, and people are saying, yes, that they use Grammarly. Isn't it fantastic? I mean, it is incredible. It's going to help you become a better writer. Now, what else do we have to do to prepare? We need to get our documents in order. You should have your employer identification number, your EIN. Again, if you're a nonprofit, your 501c3 tax exempt determination. Again, don't use a fiscal agent if at all possible. Now, you also need to make sure that you are legally able to do business in your state. So that could be your certificate of incorporation, your bylaws, and your state certification, which in some states is called a business license. So what you have to do is make sure you go to your Secretary of State's website. More homework, your Secretary of State's website, put in your name to make sure that you have a current business license. I had a young lady who attended my webinar, and she said she was applying for a grant. There was so much competition. And she said she was the only one that got the grant funding because she had a current state certification. So make sure you are legally able to do business in your state. Now, you also want a list of your board members, a list of your staff, letters of support. They're important. They could come from politicians, your vendors, your community leaders, right? Your pastor, your church members, someone who is going to be aware of the work that you do and the services that you provide in your nonprofit or your for-profit. But you want to give people time to write these letters. So make sure you have them before you even start writing the grant. Now, some grants ask for an audited financial statement. This is something that your CPA is going to complete. So make absolutely sure that you have it if it is available. And I know I'm going fast because I have a lot of information. And if your hand can't keep up, this is being recorded. So you are going to get a replay of this webinar either tonight or tomorrow, more than likely tonight. So you will get a full replay at no cost to you. So don't worry if you miss something. Your current operating budget. Now, if you are brand new, you still need to create an operating budget, even as a startup. Why? Because you need to know how much this venture is going to cost. If you're opening up a nonprofit or a for-profit, how much is it going to cost you? The operating budget will let you know. Plus, it will showcase any gaps where you need additional funding. So let's say you have funding to open up the organization and maybe pay a contractor, or maybe you have enough money to pay for your lease, but you don't have enough money for marketing. Well, you won't know that until you create the budget and start looking at gaps. It will let you know where you need money and where you need to ask for grant funding, right? So make sure you have a budget. Also, list any other funding resources that you have. So if you've gotten a grant from another organization, or maybe it's an in-kind donation or in-kind services, make sure you put it in the grant application, because no funder wants to be the only one funding you. Because guess what? Grants aren't guaranteed. And when that grant money dries up, they don't want to be in a position where the program falters or it has to close. So make sure if you have any other funding sources, it's going to make your grant application look great, because it will prove that there's other organizations that believe in what you do. All right, so now what do you write? We're going to go through the basic grant components that you find in a typical grant application. And we're going to go through these one by one. Components include summary, mission, history, leadership, a description of your organization, your statement of need, a description of whatever your program or service is, your community partnerships, outputs, outcomes, and impact, your staff, your board members, your budget, and then we're going to have some fun talking about sustainability. All right, we're going to start with the summary abstract. What do you need to know is that you always write it last. Don't be tricked up. Don't be fooled because it's the first part of the application, but you always write it last. Why? Because it's going to include the most compelling components of your grant application after you've written it. So make sure that you might see it first, but always write it last. Next, your mission and vision statement. So all of you should have a mission statement, but do you have a vision statement? Because you're going to be asked that question. More homework. Create that vision statement if you haven't. What is the difference? The mission, that's what you're doing now, your aim and your goals, but the vision is what you would like to have happen in the future if you are able to successfully complete your mission, right? So vision is the future. Let's go back to the mission statement. It is so important because you're going to align it to your funder or your foundation. And this is how you begin to match up your organization to getting that perfect funder, because you need to make sure that your mission aligns with the mission statement of the funder. So if you are focused on K through 12 education and the mission of the funder is saying that they focus on veterans, that's not a match. And you know that that is not your ideal funder. So make sure you research that foundation or that funder to make sure that the mission statements align. All right, next, your history. So a lot of people get tripped up on this question because, especially if they're new, they're like, well, I don't have a history. I'm just starting out. But everybody has a history. Every organization has a history. So even if you're brand new, talk about what was the impetus for you starting your organization, right? Because that's part of you being able to create your organization based on something that happened in the past. So I like to give the example of a former principal. She's starting a tutoring organization so that she can tutor K through 12 kids on math and reading. Well, she started it because she knew that the math and reading scores were below grade level at this school, and she wanted to make a difference. Well, her experiences as a principal led her to open up her tutoring organization. That was the impetus. So make sure that you're using the impetus for you starting the organization, as a part of the history. Leadership, that's pretty simple, right? That's your executive leadership, your CEO, your COO, but also include your board members because they're part of your leadership too. Next, you're going to describe your organization. Like, what has been your track record? If you're a seasoned organization, who are you helping? What has been your success rate and your success factors, right? What got you to where you are now? So you want to talk about how you've been able to accomplish your mission statement. Next, we get to the statement of need. And that is really talking about what is your problem? Like, what is the problem that you are solving? And what you have to know is that there is always an issue. There's always a problem. You have to talk about this problem that you're solving in the grant application. And you may think, well, there may not be a problem. I'm opening up a restaurant, right? And I like to give the example of a bakery that wanted to open up in a downtown location. You might be thinking, well, she's making cupcakes and cookies. Like, what problem is she solving? Well, she's wanting to relocate in a particular area where there's been failed businesses before. So when she relocates there, she's opening up in an urban community. She's serving the community, right? She's absolutely implementing a program that is going to contribute to the economic development of that community. And her target audience are the businesses that surround her. And so in the past, they haven't had this wonderful gourmet catering service that they can actually help to impress their clients. So you have to think about what you do in terms of an issue. Let's say you're a service organization and you provide career development services to those who've been fired or maybe they quit their jobs. Well, what is the issue? The issue is you have very talented people who are not in the job market, right? So their skill set is not contributing to society. That's the issue. So by you helping them determine what do they want to do? Do they want to go back to a 9-to-5? Maybe they want to become an entrepreneur. You're helping to resolve an issue. So always think about what you do in terms of how am I making something better? How am I resolving an issue? And then you connect that problem again, where? Back to the funder, back to the foundation, to make sure that what you're solving is in alignment with where that foundation wants to give funding. How do you find out about the organization? This is more tea for you. 90% of foundations don't have a website. Again, 90% of foundations do not have a website. So how do you find out about their information? Well, I have free for you, and I'm going to be talking about free all afternoon. That's one of my favorite words. You look at the 990 form. So you get the 990 form of that foundation. It is a gold mine of information. Is it going to give you the executive leadership, the executive director, right? The board members, right? But at the end of that 990, there's almost always a document where it is going to be a list of where that particular foundation has given funding to. And so you want to look on that list to see if there's any organizations that look like yours. So if you have a program where you utilize animals, right, to help heal veterans, and you see that on that list, there's an equestrian program where they're using horses to help heal those who are inflicted. There's a match. You know that that may be an organization that you want to investigate. The 990 is a gold mine. Now, where do you get the 990 forms? Well, you can pay an organization to get access to their website so that you can gain access, or you can go to this particular website and get 990s for free. There's a word again, we like free. projects.propublica.org/nonprofits. Want to make sure that is put into the chat, because you can go to this site and get the 990, right, of any organization that's been filed. And I tell you, it is a gold mine. So make sure, more homework, that you write down that link. Now, next, on the application, you have to define who you are serving. Who is your target population? And this is the one answer that I hear all the time, and it's wrong. I serve everybody. I want to help everybody. You can't help everybody. You can't serve everybody. Think about who is your ideal client, the ideal person that you serve. That is your target population, right? And so for the cupcake company, the downtown businesses, right? That was her target population. So think about who you're helping in terms of gender. Maybe your organization is geared towards women, ethnicity. Maybe your organization is helping those who are Hispanics or African American. Maybe it's based on income. Maybe your service or your product is geared to those who live below the federal poverty line. Maybe it's based on age. Maybe you have a program for senior citizens. All that kind of data, whether it's geography or demographics, you can get most of it from the census.gov website, which I love. Their quick facts gives you all kinds of information on demographics of your target audience, such as unemployment rate, right? Who is living within a particular zip code? What is the attainment of their education, right? Do they have bachelor's degree, master's degree? I love this particular website. So Kelsey, if you could make sure that website is put into the chat. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about, how do you tell your story? You are selling your organization on that grant application, and you need to keep that in mind. So when you talk about your organization, don't make yourself the hero. Always focus on your target population. Keep them at the center of your story. Why? Because that's where the transformation takes place. So think about that principal and her tutoring organization. The transformation will take place with the students, right? Because when they learn to become proficient in math and reading, they'll be able to graduate. They'll be able to go to college, or maybe take a trade, or go to the armed services. That's where the transformation takes place, within your target audience, right? So you want to always focus that grant application on how you are going to transform or change the lives, right, of your target population. So are you telling your story the best? You should be able to do so by what? Showing how you're changing lives and changing outcomes. How do you do that? You appeal to emotions. You use real examples, testimonials, case studies. The best way you can do this is using video, right? Literally, you can take a cell phone. People know I'm an Android person, but even if you have an iPhone, you can literally have one of your clients put that phone in front of their face and talk into it for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, right? and say how you've changed their lives with your program, right? Even if it's the bakery, they can talk about how that was the best cupcake they've ever tasted in their lives before. You could talk about how this recipe was passed down through generations, right? If you have a website, on the homepage of your website, there should absolutely, at the minimum, be testimonials, but absolutely, if you can, put videos. This doesn't have to be expensive. Again, have a customer talking to their cell phone, or if you're going to do a professional video, make sure it's no more than like 2 to 3 minutes. But homepage of your website should have videos and testimonials. All right, next, you have a decision to make. How are you going to ask for your grant? Is it going to be operating dollars, like general operating support, or do you have a particular project that you're working on? What's the difference? If you ask for general operating support, you decide where the funds are going to be applied. Maybe it's marketing or your lease or personnel, or maybe you have a particular program. Let's take the bakery. She wants to start a delivery service. So she's going to be asking for money for that specific project, right? Now, the good news is you should be applying for both of these kinds of grants from multiple foundations. Too many of you think that if you have a project, you can only apply for grants from one foundation. No, no, no. You should always apply to multiple foundations, even for the same amount of money, right? Because let's say you want $50,000 to hire a contractor. And let's say you get the $50,000 from multiple foundations, right? So maybe you got it from 2. So now you have $100,000. What you're not going to do, okay, is give the money back. So what do? You hire another person, right? So don't ever think that you can apply to multiple foundations for the same project, because you can. Think about whether or not you want operating dollars. Maybe you need to shore up your infrastructure, or you have a particular project or service. Just consider, like, where are your greatest needs when it comes to what you should be asking grant money for. Next, describe your project or service. Again, whatever it is, how have you been successful and why will it be successful? Let's take that tutoring service. She's going to use project-based learning, right, to help the kids become proficient in math and reading. Well, she wants to be able to prove that project-based learning is going to help a 5th grade classroom, if they have issues with reading and math. So do your homework. If it's something that's going to be used that's new, then yes, you want to make sure that you indicate that it has been used before successfully with a similar audience. But at the end of the day, talk about how your project or service is solving a problem. All right, next, this is so crucial. Community partnerships. You're going to get this question on almost any grant application. Who are you using in the community to help in your, whether it's nonprofit or for-profit, doesn't make a difference. You need community partnerships. Please don't think that there has to be money involved, because there doesn't. There does not have to be money involved, but organizations want to know who's helping you. You don't have to do this on your own. Now, a community partner could be a third-party vendor, right? This is particularly important for new organizations, for you to partner with a very seasoned, very well-respected organization. I was writing a grant years ago for a 3rd grade class at an urban school, and the teacher wanted to teach these 3rd graders violin. And we were going to partner with the Cleveland Orchestra, clearly one of the best orchestras in the world, right? So you can imagine a grant application where you're saying you're going to partner with the Cleveland Orchestra. So these are some of the organizations or institutions that you could think about partnering with. Universities, other women's business organizations, Greek organizations, right? Other women-owned businesses. Think about that bakery. She's going to partner with an event planner in the area, right? There's no money changing hands, but in her bakery, she's going to have information about the services of the event planner. An event planner, she's going to be able to use the bakery for some of her events, and she's going to have flyers there. So there's so many ways that you can partner with others in the community without there being an exchange of, any type of funds. But the community question, that's important, and that's going to be on your grant application. So now we're talking about, how do you prove on paper that your program is going to be successful once you get the grant money? There's outputs, outcomes, and impact. So this is really about forecasting, and don't let that be a scary word, because all you're doing is putting down what you think the results are going to be if you get the grant money. What are outputs? Those are the immediate results. You give me $20,000, this is what's going to happen. Outcomes usually take place about 6 months to a year later. So as a result of the output, right, this is what's going to happen. These are the changes or the activities that's going to take place. Impact, that's a little bit more long-term. So that could be a year from now or 2 years from now, based upon the outcomes, based upon the outputs. I'll give you an example. A daycare center wanted $50,000 to open the doors. And they're saying, look, you give us the $50,000, we're going to open our doors. We're going to serve 100 families and 250 children. Now, as a result of us opening, we've done our research, we know where to locate. As a result, in 6 months, our daycare capacity is going to grow by 40%. And guess what? We're going to add 24/7 services. So we're going to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, a year from now, this is the impact. As a result of us growing and being open 24/7, 25% of our families are going to experience less stress. Why? Well, heck, they can drop their kids off 24/7. Wouldn't that alleviate or help with your stress if you could drop your kids off 24/7, right? Also, they're saying 65% of our children will demonstrate improved behavior because of our program, right? Now, as a result of growing, of being open 24/7, their daycare is going to expand to 2 locations after a year. So as you see, you're indicating what you expect to happen, right? If you're given the grant money. So be prepared. Sometimes you'll only see one of these, like an output or an outcome, but sometimes they'll ask for all 3. So you'll know if you get all 3, how you're going to talk about it. So you might have heard of SMART goals. This is another opportunity for you to talk about what you want. Like, what do you want your outcome to be? What is your overall goal? You'll be asked for SMART goals. What are they? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So let's see how you change a goal to a SMART goal. You could have a goal that says, I want to reduce the poverty rate in Cleveland. Well, that's a massive goal, right? That's a huge goal. How do you change that into a SMART goal? I want to reduce the poverty rate by 5%. That's specific and measurable in Cleveland. That's attainable, one city, for Hispanic children under the age of 5. That's relevant because there's an issue with poverty for Hispanic children, and timely within a 5-year time frame. What did I do? How did I change the goal to a SMART goal? I put in data and statistics. That's how you change your goal to a SMART goal. You also want assessment tools so that you can prove in the grant how you're able to accomplish your mission. I love surveys. I love using like SurveyMonkey and JotForm. Also, maybe reports, right? So let's go back to the tutoring organization. She can actually use the test results of those students in reading and math to determine whether or not her tutoring service were helpful. Or you can do follow-up interviews. Let's say you have that restaurant. You can provide surveys to your customers. These are just ways in which you measure your outcomes because you will be asked these questions. Now, also, this is really about how do you write that application to make sure you're getting noticed. You want to talk about your staff. Now, for those of you who are for-profit owners, you probably haven't updated your bio or your resume in years. Well, you're going to need to do this. This is more homework for you because you're going to need to submit that bio and that resume with that grant application. Why? Because the funder wants to know that you're qualified, right, to even be involved in this particular project or program. And anybody else that you have that will have significant responsibilities for whatever that service is or project is, you're going to need their bios and their resumes as well. So why? Why is this important? It's all about accountability, right? If that funder is giving you money, they want to make sure that you have qualified people involved in that particular project or program. Now we're getting to the budget. What do you need to know about creating the budget for the grant? You have to itemize your expenses, right, for every budget area. So if you're asking for $10,000 in salaries, you can't just put line item salaries, I need $10,000. What do you need the money for? Is it to pay the executive director, and how often? Is that for 6 months? Is it to pay contractors? If so, how much are you paying them an hour and how many hours a week? You need to be specific, itemize those expenses, right? Make sure your costs are reasonable. We know the cost of living in Ohio is much different than California. So when you're talking about how you're utilizing the money in the budget, go to the budget narrative, because you'll be asked, how are you using the funding? So talk about the fact that, okay, I need $10,000 to pay for an executive director for 6 months, right? Connect the money back to the goal of the program. So if you're asking the money to pay for the executive director, talk about how that ED is helping to implement the program. So always match the money back to the goal of whatever the program or the project or the service is going to be. Now we get to sustainability, because this is really fun, right? You know that grants are not guaranteed. So just because you get money one year does not mean you're going to get money in year 2. So the funder wants to know from you, and this question is going to be on that grant application. Let's say the money is gone. It's year 2. How are you going to sustain the program? How are you going to keep the program afloat? The grant money is gone. Now, this becomes a little bit easier for profits that generate revenue on a regular basis. But what if you're a nonprofit? Let's take that school, right? Well, they got $20,000 to implement the tutoring program. But after year 1, $20,000 is gone. You're going to have to write in an application. What are you going to do to sustain the program? And I want you to think about this. Think about a high school, right? In year 2, what can they do? What can they put in that application, that grant application, to say that, yes, we can come up with the $20,000 in year 2? So put into the chat. Think again, this is a high school. Think of some ways that a high school could put into a grant application. This is how we're going to sustain our program with $20,000 in year 2. So I want you to put into the chat, right? Think about some ways in which a high school could write in that application, this is how we're going to come up with money in year 2, right? I want you to put it into the chat, right? Just think about some way, right, Cherie, a fundraiser, right? They could say, okay, in year 2, we don't have the grant. We're going to have a big fundraiser to come up with the $20,000. What about a talent show? What about having car washes? What about a bake sale? Rebecca says, yes, federal funding, right? All you're doing is writing into the application ways in which in year 2, when the money is gone, you still can sustain the program, right? So you're going to have to be creative and thinking about ways that even when the grant money is gone, you're going to be able to sustain your program. Now, for those of you who are for-profits, I want to just talk a little bit about bid proposals, because you may be bidding on a contract, whether typically it's a government contract, it could be city, county, state, or federal. So I want to spend just a couple of seconds, because I also teach workshops to for-profits as to how you complete that bid proposal, that narrative, that request for proposal. You want to focus on your capacity, right? Maybe you have great experience with similar jobs. Maybe your staff is extremely experienced and qualified. Think about what you can put in that application that makes you above and beyond your competition, right? Maybe it's scheduling. Maybe you know that in the past you've been able to meet or beat any contract timeline that's been given to you. Put into that bid proposal what makes you stand out above the rest. What you don't want to do is try to underbid, because if I'm a contractor and I'm putting out a bid to build a wall within a hospital, I have an idea what that's going to cost. So if I know it's going to cost $1 million about, and you give me a bid proposal for $50,000, I know you don't know what you're doing. I know that you're not qualified. I know that you don't have the capacity or the capability. So it's not about always thinking that you're going to slide in a bid that's the cheapest bid. It's about making sure in that application that you talk about your capability and your capacity, which is a capability statement, right? You're talking about your core competencies, your differentiators. Again, maybe it's your facility. Maybe you operate in a green facility. Maybe you have state-of-the-art equipment. It's really about your past performance and what's going to put you above and beyond anybody else that is submitting a bid. And then of course you want to include like your corporate data and then your contact information. Now, I get this question all the time. What is a business plan versus a grant proposal, right? Well, they're almost identical. So if you understand how to write a grant proposal, you understand how to write a business plan. The business plan has an executive summary. You're getting that from the grant proposal. Your company description, that's from the grant proposal. Your market analysis, you're focusing on your target market, you've done it in the grant proposal. Your product and services, that's in the grant proposal. What's new is your marketing plan, right? So you'll need to develop a marketing plan because most grant proposals don't have marketing plans. Your management of your organization, you're getting that from the grant proposal. Your financial plan, including your balance sheet, your profit and loss statements. Most grant applications will ask you if you're in business for your financial statements, right? Your budget, you're pulling that from the grant proposal. So if you learn how to write a grant proposal, you can write your business plan. All right, this is really about like, what are you doing to get your application noticed before you write a single syllable, right? First of all, you got to have what I call a mindset of winning, because if you go into grant writing thinking you're not going to get the grant, you're probably not going to get the grant, right? We know the money is out there. You saw that the money is available, over $90 billion. What I want you to do is write grants in a community of support. It is so important. It's so critical that you have people to bounce ideas off of, to ask questions to. Like, don't do this alone. I want you to position yourself for success. I know you want to make a difference. I know you want to help clients. I know you want to solve problems, right? It's about doing the work and putting forth a little bit of time and effort to get what you need. You don't have to be afraid of grant proposals, because long ago, did you have the 200-page grant applications. A lot of these proposals, especially for the for-profits, are 2 and 3 and 4 pages long. So don't be scared that you're going to have to start writing these 200 and 300-page documents. No. I saw 2 grant applications this year. They were both for over $1 million. They were 7 single space pages. 7. Okay, that's for $1 million. So many of the grants I see again are 2 and 3 pages. So don't be afraid. You have to do research about the funder. I want you to match it with your perfect funder. I want you to gain partners, because you know the results are worth it. Like, finally, you'll be able, with grant money, to open up your business. Or how about operating successfully and not bootstrapping your organization, right? Maybe you want to expand your operations. Grant money can be used for all of these things, right? Now, if you take nothing else away from what I said, this is critical. This is as important as the grant application. Please meet with the funder. Please meet with the funder first. I have been in meetings with foundation leaders where I've heard them say, if you give me these applications and this person has not called me, has not emailed me, has not tried to meet with me to talk to me about their organization or the grant, more than likely it's going in the garbage. Now, that's not every foundation, right? Some foundations don't want to meet with you, and that's okay. They're saying, look, fill out the form, send it in, and that's it. But if you have the opportunity, please do your due diligence and meet with the funder first. It makes a difference between whether or not you get the grant, because in that meeting, that funder is going to share information with you that I guarantee you is not on the website. I've been in meetings where I knew that they wanted to fund us after 30 minutes because we were on the same page. The interview was great. And they told us what they wanted us to put in the grant application, because they knew they wanted to fund us. You won't get that unless you meet with the funder, okay? So next, time management. We know grants are deadline driven. If they tell you that that grant is due at 4:59, it's due at 4:59. Address every question, especially for your grant applications that are within portals. Don't leave a question blank, because oftentimes that software will think that you have not completed the grant application because you left a question blank. So put NA, unless specifically they're telling you to leave it blank if you don't have an answer. But if not, just put NA so that you've completed all of the questions. And again, absolutely, these are some of the do's. Make sure someone else is looking at that grant application, because you don't want to submit an application that's full of grammatical errors. These are some of the don'ts. Look, I love a template. Templates are critical, right? But you don't want to use cookie cutter answers and just copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. I like to read questions 3 times on a grant application, right? So don't use cookie cutter answers. And also, if you're approaching a funder for the first time, never ask for too much money because you probably won't get anything, right? So typically grants will let you know how much the grant is for, 5,000, 50,000. However, if it's a community foundation or sometimes banks, they won't tell you how much money you're going to be getting, right? They let you tell them how much money you need. And what you don't want to do is say, I need $100,000, because you're not going to get it. They don't know you. They don't know if you're fiscally responsible, right? So don't ask for too much. I always recommend, if you're going to an organization for the first time, ask for anywhere between $5,000 to $25,000, because once you get the grant in year 1, it increases your chances, not guaranteed, but it increases your chance of getting the money in year 2. And definitely don't forget to add it. I love Grammarly. Make sure you're downloading Grammarly. Now, how do you set up that important meeting with the funder? You want to create a letter of introduction. In that letter, you want to talk about a description of your organization, right? Your statement of need or your target population, how you are aligned with that funder, right? Don't ask for any money in this letter. That's not the purpose of this letter. This letter is to get a meeting with the funder. You talk money once you get into the meeting. Now, you can certainly get a reference to try to get a name, but keep in mind, 90% of foundations don't have a website. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to that 990, or maybe the person's name is on a website. Maybe they do have a website, but you don't have an email address. And I've been giving you tea. Ladies, this is a teapot. Okay. What you don't want to do is send that letter to info@abcfoundation.com or .org, because it's going to go in some vortex. Who knows where it's going to go. You want a real address, a real email address to a real person. How do you get it? This software here is amazing. It's called getemail.io. You use getemail.io and you can get the email address of almost anybody at any organization or company in the world. I use it several times a week. I've gotten emails from people with organizations in Italy, Germany. I mean, it doesn't matter. It is a phenomenal tool, because when you write this letter, or when you do your follow-up, right, to your grant application, you want to follow up to a real email address with a real person, right? So I want to make sure that, Kelsey, that you drop that URL in here, because this is, I tell you, this is critical, right? This is how you get that meeting. All right. Now, next, we're going to talk about grant research. How do you find grants? These are some of the major portals, right? The Foundation Directory Online is the leading source of information on grants in the US. They're going to give you the name of organizations that provide funding. They're about $50 a month. So if you're on a budget, pay the $50 and get as many organizations as you can in a month. Now, if you're not opposed to going out, most libraries have access for free to the Foundation Directory Online. So you can always go to your local library and pull up and do research there. Instrumental.com, they're pricey. They're about $100. Well, actually, they just raised the price. They're $200 a month. They give you the 990 and the grantor plus the available grants, right? Grants.gov, you know that is a single source for federal grants. The Lilly Foundation, if you're faith-based, that's the largest funder of religious organizations. Let's say you provide some type of educational resources. You want to go to grantgopher.com, that's a free site. Lilly Foundation is free. Grants.gov is free. I love grantwatch.com. I'm just obsessed with them. They have a lot of last minute grants, and they give you the actual grant opportunity plus the organization that's providing the grant, plus they give you a link directly to the application. They're about $20 a month for any minority organizations that are on the webinar. If you're Black owned, you need to know about Urban Awareness, USA.org. They have tons of minority grants, and that's free. Now you can pay for some of their more sophisticated services, but just to be on their grant list is phenomenal, because they have a huge portal. So what do you do? Like, how do you get the grants to come up? This is Grant Watch. This is the homepage, right? Look to the left where it says apply filters. You're going to put in information. Now in the center, you have nonprofit, business, or individual. You're going to check to see which one you are. But then you go to that filter section on the left and you put in the type of grant that you want. Are you looking for federal grants or foundation grants, private grants, type of funding source, right? Maybe the location. Are you looking for local grants or national grants? Do you want to get money from a local foundation or company, right? Subject area, right? You can use the keyword search. What area are you in? I know I typically have some fashion designers and fashion organizations on my webinars. That's arts and culture. Remember that career development, service provider, that's business and industry, financial services, education. You put in that information, you click the button and literally up pops grant opportunities for you. It's very simple. And again, Grant Watch, $20 a week. So these are some additional grant research tools just for you as women-owned businesses or women-led nonprofits. You have to sign up for helloalice.com. It is the largest portal that provides information on grants for women-owned businesses. Facebook Black Creators Grant, they have a grant program. Amber Grants for Women, every single month they give away $25,000. National Association for the Self-Employed, they have growth grants that they give out. The Fearless Fund and MasterCard, that's for women of color, they have grants. The Visa She's Next is for Black women business owners, right? FedEx has small business grants that they love to give to women. If you have any type of wellness program, any type of health program, you need to know about the Women's Sports Foundation. Grantsforwomen.org is a site where all they do is list grants for women, right? Maybe you don't want a grant, maybe you want an investor. 37angels.org is a group of female angel investors. All they do is invest in women-owned small businesses up to $150,000. Okay, that's a lot of money. The Tory Burch Foundation, right? The designer, she has all kinds of grants for women-owned businesses and nonprofits. I Fund Women, you have to sign up to I Fund Women because they give all kinds of grants for women-led nonprofits and women-owned businesses. Cartier, the jewelry company, they have grants for women. Now, let's talk a little bit about banks. When you think of banks, what do you think? Put it to the chat quickly. What do you think about banks when it comes to money? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of banks and money? Let's see what you put in the chat. Banks and money, loans, loans, loans. Yes, 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 yes. Well, credit cards? Yes. Did you know that banks are one of the largest providers of grants, not loans, grants in the country? You're going to the wrong people. You don't want to go to your loan officer. What are they going to do? They're going to try to get you to get a loan, right? Banks give away millions of dollars in grants. It's not going to be your branch manager usually, because they want you to open up a loan, right? It's usually the vice president that's at the bank. So make sure that you go to a bank that has a presence, a really good footprint in your area. You want to seek out the vice president. Sometimes it's of community development, community reinvestment. They're the ones that have discretionary funding opportunities, right? So oftentimes they can meet with you and they can write a check. All right. So when you think of banks, think of grants, but make sure you go to a bank that has a pretty good foothold. The young lady who was on this webinar went to her bank, found the VP, and she wrote a $2.3 million grant. Okay, so don't think of banks as being only providers of loans. All right, so these are some women business organizations that you need to know about and be a part of. Again, the site is Grants for Women. They have a lot of grants. Now, I'm a part of it. I think I have some women on here. Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs is a Facebook group. So shout out in the chat if you belong to Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs. It is a Facebook group of 600,000. I'm going to say that again, 600,000 women business owners, right? You need to join this group, right? The National Association of Women Business Owners. I belong to the Cleveland chapter. Again, a tremendous organization. They have grants. American Business Women's Association, the Female Entrepreneur Association, right? They have a wait list right now. Did you know that the SBA had an Office of Women's Business Ownership, right? ladies who launch, the Women's Business Centers of Ohio, there should be a similar organization in your particular state. Now, thank you so much for staying until the end. I'm going to do a really great Q&A as soon as I get through. I wanted to help organizations as much as I can, as much as I could, right, over the past literally 15 years. But I knew I could only help organizations one at a time, right, if I was writing grants for them. So what did I do? I literally took my 15 years of experience writing grants, and I created an easy to use grant writing course. Literally, this was my proven path to be able to secure over $17 million in grants for clients. I put it all into this course where you learn step-by-step processes to get funding. Plus, I serve as your coach, me personally, right? You want to be impactful, you want to fulfill your mission. I know that, without always like digging into your pocket or asking your friends and your family members for finances. Grants are free. Like, you can win $20, $30, $50,000. Excuse me, one of my students just won $75,000 like 3 weeks ago. And she was writing a grant for a client. She became a professional grant writer. She took the course, and she also wrote a grant for herself. So this is about saving time and energy. Remember, I said grants are no longer 200-page documents. This course will allow you literally to write grants in half the time, right? Because you're going to save time and energy, because I'm giving you a blueprint, right? There is no more guesswork, right? What I don't want you to do is write these grants by yourself. Be in a community that can help you by using the right grants opportunity is what is going to be key, right? I give you the best grant research techniques to use. They're proven, is what I use, because at the end of the day, you want to find funders who want to give you money. This is key. You want to find funders who want to give you money, and I show you how to do that. You want to learn how to approach funders, right? Plus, I teach you how to write every single part of that narrative. There are parts that we didn't even talk about, like a letter of inquiry. What are you getting? You're getting 12 modules and 35 lessons. And look, I spent a lot of time in education. I know that people learn differently. That's why every single lesson starts with a video. Some people are visual learners, but some people think, oh, is it just a course of videos? Absolutely not. It starts with a video, then you have your written lesson. And it's fun. You know why? Because this is not tedious. You're talking about what you do. So when I ask you to talk about who your target market is, who your target audience is, this needs to be fun, because this is what you do. You're not doing this for me, you're doing this for you. So I give you little homework tasks to do. You have planners, right? You have workbooks. You have these really fun, silly quizzes so that I make recall easy. And yes, you get actual grant examples. Not only do you get grant examples, every single grant that I put in this particular course has won money. They're all winning grant examples. So when I ask you to write about your history, I'm giving you an example of how I wrote about a history and won money in that particular grant. Plus, I'm doing what I guarantee you nobody else is doing with a grant writing course. You can spend 3 times what the price of this course is and take an online course, and after the weekend, the teachers are gone, everybody's gone, and you have questions that aren't answered. I literally, once you're done, I give you a list of over, right now is 450 funders, right? And they fund in different areas. It's all separated, veterans organizations. Maybe you're in education, maybe you're in career development. So once you have gone through this course, you have a great template to use, right? You have a great template and you're ready to go, because I've literally given you funders. Also, I am not one to leave you alone. I'm here to support you. I'm not one of those course founders and creators that you take the course and you never see me again. We have a phenomenal Facebook group. If anybody is in this Facebook group, in this webinar, please give it a shout out, because I have professional grant writers who take the course. And if you're in the Facebook group and you need help, you have questions, maybe you started writing a grant, you want somebody to look at it in the Facebook group, there's always somebody in there saying, sure, give it to me, I'll take a look at it. This is about giving you the support you need so that you're not doing this by yourself. right? We're business owners. We don't have a bunch of time, right? That's why I make sure this course will help you write 50% faster. Also, in addition to the Facebook group, 1 hour of group coaching with me, because this is about making sure you get this money. I don't want you to just take another course and then not get the money. I'm here to help answer any questions and make sure that you are getting the money. So price, what are we talking about? And don't go anywhere because I have an insane offer for you. 12 modules, 35 lessons. I've had the course audited 3 times. So these are the amounts that the course is worth. $3,549 just for the modules and the lessons, right? The video, $600. The list now, 450 funders, is worth $500. I give you literally a workbook of the entire course. I give you planners and grant trackers. It's important to track your grants to know where you are, to put the dates down. That's worth $350. That's not what you're paying. The course is normally $997 right now, and I typically discount it to $497 because I know, especially with the economy we have now, I want to give people a break. It's normally $497. That is what people pay. However, you came on to this particular webinar for a reason, right? It means that you need help. So I have reduced this entire course. One payment. This is not a monthly payment. So many people think, oh my gosh, it's a monthly payment. Because you're here with me right now, it's $197. Like, that's it. One payment, $197. You're getting literally a $5,000 course, $197, right? However, right, there's always a catch. Yes, there's a catch. You have 3 days. That's it, 3 days. Now, I do something that I never do, right? But I happen to be celebrating Black History Month. So what I did, I'm giving you options to pay over 2 months, right? So let's say you don't even have the $197, $115 for 2 payments, right? Keep in mind, this is an educational course. You get to write this off on your taxes as an educational expense. Now, this is critical. The course is $497. When you go into the course to get it to $197, which is 60% off, you have to use this code, FEB60SALE. You have to put that code in. It will take $300 off immediately, and the course will be $197. Now, if you want to make the 2 monthly payments, you need no code, okay? What you also need to know about this course, it never expires. Look, we're business owners. We have busy lives. We're running nonprofits. Maybe you don't get to the course for a month. Maybe you don't get to the course for 2 months. The course never expires because I know what our lives are like. I want you to start the course immediately. And let's say you start and you stop. Don't think that you can't go back. You go back because there's no expiration date. I'm a woman of faith. I'm a servant leader. I want you to be successful. You saw that there's over $90 billion out here. Like, why not you? There's women that look just like you, okay, that's getting grant money. Literally, a student, I told you she got $75,000 3 weeks ago. That was for somebody else. Then she wrote a grant and got money for herself. Another client 2 weeks ago got a $30,000 grant using these techniques. Like, this is not some far off magical thing, right? You follow the process. It allowed me to get $17 million for clients because it works, right? It works. This is all you get. Literally, it's my coaches tell me all the time how crazy I am, that there is no way I should let this course go for $197, but I do because I want you to be successful, right? I know how it is as a woman business owner. I know what I've been through. Like, I know what I've been through as a woman business owner. And I can imagine what some of you have been through too. So you know what? You need a break. You need a break. Here's your break. Here's your opportunity to get free grant money, to learn how to get free grant money, right? With a coach. $197, I'm doing it for women. The 60% off ends on Sunday, February 5th. Please do it now because I don't want you to forget. Here's the code. When you go into the portal, this is what you're going to see. You either hit $497 or you hit 2 times 115. Now, again, if you hit the $497, you want to put in the code. I want to make sure the link is being put into Yes, it's a fantastic bargain. Okay, it's an incredible bargain. I just want to make sure that it is, yes, is being put into the chat. So you decide, I need 2 months, I'll pay the 115 a month, or put in the 497, put in the code, and you'll get it for 197. Okay. So when you go to put in your information, the 497, this is what you're going to see. There's a little section that says have a coupon right underneath the name of the course. You hit that and you put in the code, and automatically will take $300 off the price of the course, and it's 197. Now you may see this little pop-up box that says ask the expert private grant coaching. With the course, you get 1 hour of free grant coaching. Now, if you want one-on-one coaching with me personally, I normally charge $495 an hour, and it's reduced to $195 if you buy it when you get the course, right? That's when I reduce it, because you bought the course, you've invested. So I lowered the price to $195 for the 1 hour of private coaching with me, where I do a deep dive with you and your organization, give you advice on what you need to be doing, where you need to be going, what kind of grants you need to be looking for. So you can just check that box if you want that deep dive 1 hour with me for $195. If not, put in the code, and it's $197. So why is it important that you do this right now? Because it's the beginning of the year, right? I literally just held a monthly group coaching session on Tuesday, January 31st. I hold one every single month. You have access to that when you buy the course. You need to be ready for 2023. And please hear me out, because this is important. There are many grant organizations that when their money is gone, it's gone, right? So if you have like a rolling application and you're a funder, that means you can apply at any time of the year. But if you talk to organizations, which I have, like Walmart and Verizon, they will tell you, please apply as early in the year as possible. I know the monies are available now. Remember the money that is available for women-led businesses and women-led nonprofits because of George Floyd, right? And COVID-19. I don't know if that money is going to be there in 6 months. I honestly don't. I know it's there now. Oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 15 years. I have never seriously seen the amount of money that is available to women for-profit organizations and women-led nonprofit organizations. Like, this is our season. Like, this is your season. You can get this money, right? And I want you to do it for you. So when the money's gone, a lot of the money is gone because so many organizations give out the money in the first quarter. These are just some of the testimonials. Kim says Linda is a master grant writing guru. Carla said that it is very easy to understand the course, and believe me, it is, right? Kelly's the one who literally got the $75,000 for one of her clients and then wrote a grant for herself, right? And Linda decided to take the course and become a professional grant writer. So she took it full circle. She's literally now writing grants for other organizations. So you have the link. Please, I want you to enroll now. We're going to do the Q&A. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. What I don't want you to do, and I want to just talk to everybody right now who's left with me. Please don't be in the same position a month from now that you're in now. Please, excuse me, take advantage of the opportunity. Don't be here 1 month from now saying, I heard there was some grants. I heard there was grants for women. I don't know how to get them. I know XYZ, she got money. Like, why am I not getting money? I know colleagues that got money. She's a woman-owned business. She was able to get money. Like, why not you? Why not you? There's no reason it can't be you. But follow the process and do it in a community where you can get help. Don't do this on your own, right? I love my Facebook group. The students in there, they're just phenomenal. And oftentimes, like, for example, if they are in a financial services business, they will ask anyone else, are you financial services? Let's work together to get these grants. It's a beautiful thing. And they're getting money. As I said, I have secured $17 million for clients. This is how I did it. This is how I did it. I'm giving you how I did it, right? Again, I want to see you successful. I'm a woman-owned business. Look, I know what you've been through because I know what I've been through. And these 15 years, They have not been easy. They have not been easy. Ups and downs and ups and downs. But you know what? I learned a process, and I'm here to share information with you. So please, please, please don't be in the same position a month from now. You have 3 days to get this crazy price. People pay the $4.97 every day. It doesn't have to be you. I'm giving it to you for just a little bit of money, just a little bit of money, so that you can get a little bit of that $90 billion, right? So what I want you to do, I want you to put into the chat, I'm ready to get grant money. Like everybody, speak it into the universe. I want you to write it out into the chat. I want to get grant money. I want to see you do it. I'm looking at the chat. I want to get grant money because winning attitude, winning mindset. There we go, Rebecca and Giselle, right? And Han and Melody and Jurgita and Pamela, right? And Cherie. I'm ready to get grant money. We're going to do the Q&A. All right, let's look at the Q&A, then I'll go over to the chat. Okay, what if you don't have a board of directors or staff? I am an event planner and decorator. Perfect question. First of all, doesn't matter if you are, well, if you're a nonprofit, you didn't say if you were for-profit or nonprofit. If you are a nonprofit, you need a board of directors. You need a board to direct and to guide you, okay? If you're a for-profit, you don't need a board. Maybe you have an advisory board. I always recommend you have some kind of a board, whether it's a board of directors or an advisory board, because I can't stress this to you enough. I have made mistakes in my 15 years. I wish I knew now what I knew earlier. So please learn from me. Do not try to do this alone, okay? Have advisors, even if you're for-profit. But I'm glad you asked me the question, because do you know that there are funders that give money to organizations that have no staff? They have an all volunteer staff. They have no paid employees. Amarillo, I want you to Google Amarillo Foundation. They give money to very small organizations and organizations that have no paid staff. If you have an all volunteer staff, you can still get grant money. Like there is, when I tell you there's no reason that you shouldn't get grant money, there's no reason, okay? Giselle, do we need to have certain certifications to write certain grants, and how do we obtain those? Is it based on the dollar amount of the grant we are trying to obtain, or more organization specific? So no, the certification is not based on a dollar amount. The certifications that you're talking about typically are required if you're getting government contracts. Like some government contracts, again, it could be your county, your state, your federal, they like for you to be certified as a woman-owned business, right? Or you could be a woman business enterprise, which is another certification for being a woman-owned business, which means that 51% of your company needs to be owned by a woman. Most of the grants that I come across, you don't need any certification. But again, if you're going after government grants and contracts, get your certification. You can go through the state, right? You can go through your state, your Secretary of State, and they will help you get your certification. If you're a Black organization or minority-owned organization, or even if you're not, right? Go to the Urban League. Most urban leagues have programs that will help you get your state certification as a Black-owned business or a woman-owned business. And sometimes you can go through the city or the county or the federal government. So there are different kinds of certifications. You can be certified by your city or by your state or by your county. It just depends on your state. And sometimes there are national certifications. Like I'm nationally certified as a woman-owned business and a Black-owned business, right? I went through, I believe it's called Gateway Supplier. Gateway Supplier is what I use to become nationally certified. But you don't need it for most grant applications. Do you have to be certified as a woman-owned business or minority? Yep, just answer that question. Yep, just answer that question. If you are a chapter section of a national organization, can your section apply for grants? Yes, absolutely. And not only can your section apply for grants, but your section can apply for grants that are germane to your particular area. So let's say you're located in Cleveland, you're part of a national organization, but you're located in Cleveland. You're going to have a better chance of getting grants from organizations and I mean foundations, right, or businesses located in Cleveland, right? Because that's where you're located and you're serving this community. So absolutely, absolutely. Where do I start looking for grants for-profit organizations? I talked about that. So I gave you, I think, 8 different portals that you could use. And when you look in those portals, especially grant, that's why I love Grant Watch. You specifically choose that you're a for-profit. So all of the grants that come up will only be for-profit organizations. Also, in the grant course, remember I said there's 450 funders. I know that at least 100 of those funders fund for-profits, right? At least 100 of those names that I give you, if you buy the course, fund for-profit organizations. Yes, anonymous, whoever you are, I want to get grant money. I believe it. Are companies willing to give money to businesses who are just starting out but not established yet? Yes. So in the Facebook group, and you get access to the Facebook group if you buy the course, I have listed in there a new grant that is just for startups. So there are some grants that are just for startups. So don't think just because you're starting, you can't get grant money. Not true. Is there a sweet spot for the number of community partners needed? Nope. Nope. The more the merrier. The more the merrier. Hey, Barbados, I need help in getting this grant money. I am not very phone savvy. How do I get the course? Can I speak to you? I want to get the grant money. Yes, you can. So I'm going to put in 2 email addresses. One is my direct email. I want you to put both in it. I'm talking to everyone. I want you to put both of these emails into your safe senders list, because the replay is going to come through one of these emails. And you want to, trust me, you want the replay, because the replay, I always include the chat. So it's lpv@lapov.com and hello at grant writing for non-writers.com. Put those into your safe senders list. So send me an email afterwards, Suzette. But you bring up a good question. And I know there are many of you, excuse me, that are not here in the States that think, well, I can't get money because I'm in Canada or I'm in Nigeria. So when you search for grants, you can literally search one of 2 ways for international grants. You can either put in the fact that you want to get money from a grantor that's located in one of those locations. So let's say it's Barbados, you can check international, right? You can put into your keyword Barbados. And so you can either check for grants by organizations that are headquartered or have a presence in Barbados, or you can check for grants that give money to individual organizations that are located in Barbados. So there's 2 ways in which you can search for international grants. So don't think because you're not in the US that this doesn't work for you, because it does. So Cherie is asking what time the classes are held. Thank you, Cherie. This is an online grant writing portal. And I'm glad you mentioned that. This course is self-paced. Again, I want to be able to help you as a busy woman, right? You start the course when you get ready to start the course. It's self-paced. I don't drip. So some people with their courses, they drip. Like they only give you a piece of the course every month. No. As soon as you pay your money, $197, you have access to the entire course. You have access to the Facebook page. You have access to the monthly group chats, right? So the classes are held when you want them to be held, okay? When you go into that course and you start, you go at your pace, you go through those modules. And when you go into the course, there are discussion starters where if you go into the course, you have a question, you literally click the discussion starter and you ask the question, and I am the one who answers it, right? Because I want to give you as much access to me as possible through the course without you paying for one-on-one consultations, which people do all the time. So you can, but they start when you want them to start. All right, so that's the Q&A and the regular Q&A. I'm going to go up here in the chat because I know I saw quite a few questions in the chat. And again, I can't tell you how now is the time. Is February 2nd. Now is the time. Please don't wait. I have no idea how long this kind of money is going to be available for women-owned businesses. Again, The course is tax deductible. It never expires. It's self-paced. You get 450 funders, right? Funders, organizations that provide funds. It's just for you. So, okay. Yes, I've been working my own business for 18 years. God bless you. But I stopped out on faith a year ago. I stepped out on faith a year ago. I left my job in June. So you left your job. You need funding other than, right, loans, right? You need grant funding, right? You need grant funding, because what I want you all to understand is that this is not just about loans. Women are getting this money every day. Every day they're getting this money. Like, why not you? All right. So figuring out my business, finding my niche. Take this verbiage. There are riches and niches, right? So niche down. Remember, you can't help everybody. Who is your ideal customer? Who is your ideal person that needs your help the most? What if you're not an LLC during a pandemic? Are you still able to apply for grants? Like, the LLC has nothing to do with you applying for grants. The LLC is a limited liability corporation. You can apply for grants as a sole proprietorship. Yep. You can apply for grants as an LLC. Those are all for-profits, right? For-profit organizations, this is what I'm really wanting you to understand. As a for-profit, there's millions of dollars in grants available for you. It used to just be nonprofits, right? As a for-profit, the money is available to you. So LLC does not come into play. You can get grant money. Do we have to register as a minority, Black, or women-owned? Yeah, I think I answered that question. All right, let's go down. Let's go down to the bottom here and wrap things up. Navisha. Hello, Navisha. She is joining us from Durban. I think I pronounced that right. South Africa. So listen to what I said, Navisha. Even though you're in South Africa, you can search for grants from organizations that serve South Africa, or you can find organizations that are in South Africa. So decide which grant portal you're going to use. No, it's not just for the US. We talked about that. What if I have a startup? Yep, you can get grants for startups. Do we need to meet with them for federal funding, or is it just for commercial funding? You need to meet with them if they want to meet with you. So I have written federal grants where I absolutely met with, typically there's a contact person. Even on federal funding, there's always a contact person. Don't be scared because it's a federal organization. Don't be scared because this federal funding is coming from the DOJ or whomever it's coming from. Like, don't be scared to meet because it's like the big bad government. You meet with that person that is the contact person, because you need to get as much information as you possibly can that they're not putting in the website. Is there a specific time to look for grants, or is it year round? Year round, absolutely year round. But the best time to apply is always during the beginning of the year, right now. If you're a part of a national organization, yep, I answered that. Okay. I can't write it all down. Don't worry about it. You're going to get a replay. I do not give away my slides, my information. A lot of it is proprietary and I have copyright on it, but you get the full replay, including the chat. So don't worry, you have access to this entire replay. Yeah, I'm going to send the recording. All right. Yes, it is a bargain. It's an incredible bargain. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think it's Jagita. I don't know if I've just been butchering your name, but thank you so much. I want to see you in the course, right? I want to see you working your way towards getting some of this money. I want to see you in the Facebook group. I want to see you in my next group coaching. And if you want one-on-one, like some people do, I want to sit down with you, find out where you are so that I can help you personally, one-on-one, privately. Yes, everybody's ready. Then be ready to get the grant money. Yes, I think that's Melody. She says, I deserve the grant money. Mindset, that's what I'm talking about. I deserve the grant money. Look, people are getting it. That's why I always say, why not you? Like, why not you? All right, I think we are at the end. Yes, Pamela, ready to get grant money. Started my business in a male-dominated field in both the for-profit portion, this turning into the secondary step of a nonprofit. Excellent. I'm going to enroll in the course. Yes. Thank you. I can't see, I can only see the first 4 digits of your name. So I think it's Melody. Yes, it's the Amarillo Foundation. You sent that to just the host and the panelists, so you may want to send that to everybody. The Amarillo Foundation gives grants to very small organizations and those that are all volunteer based, right? If you are an insurance agency and all of our agents are paid through the insurance carriers, they write, but I receive overrides on their sales, so I contract them as 1099. So that's fine. You don't have to have W-2 employees to get grant money, not at all. Yes, Melody really needed the information. My organization, No Voice Unheard, has done so much work unfunded. Not anymore, not anymore. You're going to have access to all these grants. You're going to start writing these grants. It's easier than you think. You don't have to worry about writing these 100-page documents anymore. I'm telling you, these grants, some of these grants are 3 and 4 pages long. So don't be scared. Don't be scared, because you can do this. People are doing it every day. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Are there grants for faith-based nonprofits? Absolutely. I gave you a couple of different organizations right in the slide. I gave you Mustard Seed. Mustard Seed is a nonprofit foundation that only gives to faith-based organizations. Mustard Seed. The Lilly Foundation is the largest provider of grants for religious organizations, including churches. So don't think because you're a church, you can't get grants. Walmart, did you know that Walmart gives money to churches? Yes, all right. Your mind holds the, Pamela, put that into the chat for everybody. I'm going to do it for you. Pamela has given the quote of the day. Your mind holds the key to 2023. That's it. You can do it. Don't think you can't. That's it. Your mind holds the key to 2023. I want to thank everybody. Please put those emails into your safe senders list so that you get the replay. Ladies, please do this for you. This is not for me. Do this for you. I don't want you to be in the same place a month from now. I want you to give a testimony a month from now. I want you to have a praise report a month from now, okay? Regardless of whether you're religious or not. I want you to have a testimony a month from now, okay? Absolutely, absolutely. Please, I look forward to seeing you. Do this for yourself. Invest this little bit of money for yourself. That's why I even gave you 2 opportunities to pay over 2 months, because I want you to get this. Please do this for yourself. You can get this grant money. I know it's been hard. It's been hard for me. It hasn't been easy for any woman-owned business or woman-led nonprofit. So I'm trying to help you as much as I can, because again, I'm a woman of faith, that I consider myself a servant leader. I've always been about serving. So thank you so much. Look in your spam later on tonight for the replay. Okay, the code, 3 days, get it for $197. You only have 3 days, but please don't wait until the weekend. I don't want you to forget. Don't forget, do it now while you're thinking about it, while you're ready to move forward. You have access immediately. Thank you all so much. Hopefully I'll see you in the Facebook group, and I will see you in the group training that I do once a month. God bless you. Have a blessed afternoon, evening, and the rest of the year. Bye-bye.